For centuries, the galaxy had known peace. The great federations, councils, and empires believed they had tamed conflict into diplomacy and debate. Wars were fought with words and treaties, not ships and weapons. Yet peace had its cost, and arrogance had been its shadow. When the outer colonies of the Orion Arm began to stir with strange energy readings, no one imagined that those readings came from Earth. Humanity, the species once ignored and dismissed as primitive, had risen far beyond the limits any civilization thought possible. It began when the Council of Elders sent their ultimatum. Humanity had refused to join their federation, refused to yield their technology, refused to accept supervision over their weapons research. The Council viewed it as defiance. They saw humanity as reckless children playing with fire, and so they issued their threat. The words echoed across subspace. Surrender your fleets or be erased. Those words reached every human world, every shipyard, every colony. The silence that followed was not of fear, but of unity. Humanity had heard such tones before, long ago on their own planet. Threats from empires, kings, tyrants, they always ended the same way. The human spirit endured, evolved, and struck back harder. Earth's high command gathered in orbit above the blue world. Across the room, faces from every continent looked to one another. They said no speeches, no cheers. Only one command was given. If they want war, give them what they asked for. From the moon bases to the shipyards of Titan, from Mars to the Oort installations, the order spread. Engines roared to life, metal plates sealed into colossal hulls, and reactors burned brighter than suns. The fleets of Earth began to move. The first wave of enemy fleets arrived near the Sol boundary. Hundreds of ships shining with alien alloys formed a blockade that filled every sensor with interference. The invaders expected surrender signals. Instead, they found silence. Then the void lit up. A single pulse from a human dreadnought cut through the dark. The weapon was not plasma, not lasers, not missiles. It was gravity itself shaped into a blade. The alien flagship vanished without sound, pulled apart on a quantum level. The rest of the fleet tried to scatter, but space itself trembled. The human fleet advanced like a wall of iron. Every blast they fired carried a precision unseen in galactic warfare. The invaders fell one by one, and the Council watched in disbelief. Reports came in of losses that defied all probability. Fleet after fleet vanished, communications jammed, and sensors failed to interpret what the humans were doing. For eons, the galaxy believed it understood war. Yet what humanity unleashed was something beyond comprehension. They fought with mathematics turned into destruction, equations turned into storms. Their ships folded reality, jumped without trace, and struck from nowhere. The Council called an emergency meeting. The ancient empires gathered, their representatives pale under the shimmering lights of the Grand Chamber. One elder spoke, his voice trembling. This species has gone too far. They wield powers forbidden by all known law. Another replied, then why did we provoke them? But the answer was clear. They feared humanity's growth. In 2 centuries, humans had advanced faster than most species had in 10,000 years. They mastered gravity drives, fusion rings, nanoforges, and quantum fields. They had learned not by peace but by survival. Every step of their evolution came through struggle. Now that strength turned outward, humanity declared its stance through one broadcast that shook every corner of known space. A single human admiral appeared on every comm frequency, calm and composed. We did not seek war. You brought it to us. You threatened our children, our home, our right to stand as equals. Now you will see the cost of your arrogance. This is not conquest. This is consequence. The message ended, and the fleets spread like storm clouds. Within weeks, entire sectors fell silent. Not conquered, cleansed. Human ships would arrive, dismantle enemy outposts, disable weapons, and leave without occupation. Their purpose was not expansion but demonstration. The message was clear. Leave humanity alone or face annihilation. The galaxy trembled. Ancient archives were reopened to find any record of such a species. None existed. No one had ever risen this fast, this strong, this united. The Council's scholars tried to understand how a race born from a single small world could challenge the cosmos. They studied human history and found a pattern that chilled them. Every threat humanity had ever faced had made them stronger. Ice ages, plagues, wars, invasions, each became a lesson. Their nature was adaptation. Their strength came not from superiority but from defiance. One historian wrote in despair, "They are not conquerors. They are survivors turned into gods." By the time the Third Alliance fleet gathered to strike back, human intelligence had already predicted every move. The enemy launched their largest attack at the Vega front. 1,000 ships moved in perfect formation, each carrying weapons designed to disrupt gravity fields. They believed it would counter the human drive. It did not. When the fleets met, the human response was immediate. From the darkness, massive shapes emerged, their hulls glowing with faint blue energy. The ships bore no symbols, no names. They were machines of silence and precision. As they fired, the stars themselves dimmed. The enemy's weapons failed to lock, their targeting systems collapsed, and their shields turned against them. The Vega front battle lasted 17 minutes. Not one human vessel was lost. After that, resistance crumbled. The galaxy began to whisper. The humans had become the balance of fear. Systems that once boasted of superiority now sent envoys bearing apologies. Trade offers replaced threats. Even pirate factions abandoned their crimes, fearing retaliation. Yet humanity did not gloat. They rebuilt, but they never forgot. The cost of victory was heavy. Many colonies had been scarred, many lives lost before the tide turned. For humanity, the war was never about glory, but survival. The Council of Elders attempted one last negotiation. They invited a human delegation to their capital, the ancient world of Orion. The chamber stood vast, 1,000 banners from 1,000 worlds waving in silent air. When the human envoy entered, the atmosphere changed. No one had ever seen a species walk with such calm in the presence of so many rulers. The lead counselor rose and spoke. "You have proven your power. We acknowledge your right to independence. But tell us, will you stop your advance?" The human representative looked across the chamber, his voice steady. "We never desired conquest. We desired peace. But peace must stand on respect. If you ever again raise arms against us, there will be no council left to speak these words." A silence followed so deep it felt like the air itself held its breath. The council bowed. That day became known as the Day of Reverence. Afterward, a strange transformation began across the galaxy. Species that once saw humanity as a threat began to imitate them. They studied human governance, human science, and even human art. The paradox was clear. What they feared most now inspired them. But among the distant systems, whispers grew. Some said humanity's technology had gone beyond natural understanding, that they had harnessed something buried deep in the fabric of the universe. Rumors spoke of an ancient engine hidden at the heart of Earth itself, a relic from a civilization older than time. Others believed humanity had awakened it. Whatever the truth, no one dared to find out. Every attempt to spy on human territory ended in silence. Probes vanished, fleets lost communication, and even light seemed slower within human space. The galaxy gave that region a name, the Quiet Zone. Centuries passed, and peace returned, yet no one forgot the war that changed everything. Monuments were built not for victory but for remembrance. The phrase etched in stone across 1,000 worlds read, "They drove humanity into war and the universe trembled." Even now, long after the last battle ended, alien children were taught to never provoke the humans. To never mistake kindness for weakness. Deep in the void, the human fleet still watched. Their ships patrolled in silence, guarding not borders but stability. For humanity had learned that power without restraint becomes tyranny. They became the watchers, ensuring no empire would rise again to threaten another. Still, the legends persisted. Some travelers claimed to have seen the titans of Earth, the colossal dreadnoughts resting beyond known space. Ships so vast they could eclipse moons. They said those ships waited, dormant, ready to awaken if the galaxy ever forgot what fear meant. The Council, now reformed under a charter written jointly with humans, continued to govern peacefully. But every time they saw a human emblem, they remembered the day their fleets were shattered. One chronicler wrote in his final record, "When the humans rose, they changed the order of all things. They were not meant to dominate the stars, yet the stars bowed to them. We thought to humble them, but in their wrath we saw our reflection, our arrogance undone. In the halls of history, the war became myth. Some claimed the humans had ascended beyond the galaxy, exploring realms unknown. Others believed they still hid behind their silent fleets, observing. One truth remained. No one ever dared to challenge them again. The universe had trembled once, and it would not dare again. Humanity, born of dust and pain, had carved its destiny not through domination but through unyielding will. They were the storm that peace had forgotten. They were the echo of every species' past mistakes. And when driven to the edge, they reminded the universe that even the smallest world can birth gods.